Hello and welcome back to Crosstown Bits and Bytes. Today we're visiting the Aga Khan Park and Museum. Aga Khan Park and Museum is the only stop on the Crosstown Line 5 named for an attraction, and wow, what an attraction! The Aga Khan Museum opened in 2014. If you're in Toronto, you'll have seen its stunning glass pyramid perched on the west side of the Don Valley Parkway. The beautiful and imposing exterior promises great things inside, and it does not disappoint. A bit about the history. The museum was first conceived in the late 1990s when His late Highness Aga Khan IV recognized the need for greater awareness and appreciation of Islamic art and culture worldwide. Toronto's Moriyama Teshima architects collaborated with renowned architect Fumihiko Maki to design a major cultural institution that's become, as the museum website says, a beacon for intercultural exchange and understanding. For nearly a decade, it was one of those places I intended to check out but never got to. Too far from Weston and not convenient to transit. In February 23, though, I finally spent an afternoon there, but this is a place to be explored in good weather. It wasn't until this Bits and Bytes series that I had a good excuse to go back. That's the excursion I took on the Sunday of the May holiday weekend. I exited the crosstown in the middle of Eglinton and walked up the short path from the stop to the museum entrance. Along the route, I stopped to look at photographs from La Salle de Gym de Femmes Arab exhibit by Moroccan-British photographer Hassan Ajadi, featuring women in sport. I entered the square between the glass pyramid, the Ismaili Center, and the museum building, where wide reflecting pools, trees, and pale pea gravel settle the mind for museum mode. Inside, I walked past tables of people enjoying the strains of the Persian santur, part of the hammered festival celebrating the various forms of what we know in the West as a dulcimer. Together with the Persian version, the Indian santur, Chinese yanqing, and European cimbalom are all stringed instruments played by striking rather than plucking or bowing. Think a direct ancestor of the piano. I chose that weekend to visit the museum because of a lecture about these interesting instruments, but I had a little time before it started, so I checked out the second floor. Game On is a carefully curated show about game playing around the world. The first piece I stopped to absorb is Play It by Trust, a chessboard and table. Instead of colored pieces, Yoko Ono has made everything white, reimagining chess from a competitive to a cooperative endeavor. Very effective and, of course, fitting, given I work in the co-op sector. In the next room, I loved seeing a family playing chess together. It's a game I've never really figured out, to the disappointment of my late husband and my father. Why does the rook go that way? Can I go there with my queen? Seriously, you're saying checkmate? Honestly, who cares? But I love that it's something people are still teaching their kids. Other board games were featured, as well as word games, my favorite, no surprise, and lots of other activities requiring no equipment beyond a good imagination. There was a whole room dedicated to falconry, which I'll be honest seems less a game and more about hunting, something I'm not at all keen on. But if I had kids in my life, Game On is an exhibit I'd want them to see, and it runs until September 7th, so you've got time. I took a pause to enjoy the Persian santur player while I ate a quinoa and chicken salad from the food counter. Do I love quinoa? Not really. But it's healthy and seemed like the right choice given the musical accompaniment. I shared a table with a young man with Iran emblazoned across his cap who was very enthusiastic about the player. Very encouraging. Youth, overt enthusiasm, and diversity were all in short supply at the Tafel music concert I recently attended. The auditorium ceiling is as captivating as all the other architectural features of the museum. It's an example of makurnas, an architectural element found in Islamic art, known for its layered honeycomb-like structure that plays with light and geometry." End quote. I can't do it justice with words alone, and my picture doesn't either, but I have put a link on my written blog. to an Instagram link that's more of a description along with a photo. The talk was an intimate one, and so instead of appreciating the ceiling in the auditorium from the audience seats, Amirali Alibihai, the head of performing arts at the Aga Khan Museum, invited the lecture attendees to join him and the two featured musicians on stage. This was a seriously diverse crowd, as foreshadowed by the young Santoor fan whose table I shared at lunch. But enough about the crowd. We were there for the players. 36-year-old Di Zhang began playing the yangqin very early, and at age 9 moved to Beijing to study at the conservatory, leaving her parents a 2-hour flight away in her northern Chinese city. Her instrument dates back to the Ming Dynasty, 400 to 500 years ago. Its 144 strings are tuned chromatically, meaning it has all 12 of the tones of Western musical tradition. Amur Amiri plays the Persian santur, a much older instrument dating back more than 600 years BCE. It's simpler with only 27 strings and is tuned diatonically, meaning only 5 notes. They each demonstrated their instruments, spoke about the history, their personal practice, and the technique. They did a little noodling around on their instruments together, and then, just for fun, and it's actually unclear whether this was even planned, they switched instruments and noodled around a bit more. It was like seeing a Spanish speaker struggle with Portuguese, or an American driving a British car. Enough similarities to make it seem like it should work, but the devil is in the details. The hour flew by with plenty of time for audience questions, many of which betrayed the deep nerdiness of everyone else there. Okay, me too. I cannot lie. The thigh slapper of the day was the apparently classic joke. How do you know when a dulcimer is in tune? Answer, nobody knows. Ha ha ha. After breezing through the gift shop, thinking how lovely it is to have such a small house that I need or want nothing, I re-entered the outdoor square replete with peace. Of all my crosstown visits, this is the one that will stay with me the longest. On Wednesdays, admission is free between 4 and 8 p.m., and I'm already planning a return there soon for a midweek writing session. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't gone to this museum, the Crosstown has made it just that much easier for you, and I encourage you to do so. Bye for now.